Welcome to Salvage Squad. Over the next 10 weeks we'll be bringing some classic vehicles back to life. Each week we'll take a brilliant piece of engineering which has fallen on hard times and restore it to its former glory.
Doing the dirty work will be the Salvage Squad themselves. Claire Barrett is an engineer who specialises in bringing old steam engines back to life.
It's lovely to see inside the machine.
Axel Cleghorn is a former fireman and mechanic.
Yeah, that's it, lovely. Fun.
Who reckons no job is too big or too dangerous. And Jerry Thurston is a classic car obsessive and experienced machinist who brings the skills of a precision engineer.
Oh, yes! That's how it should fit.
Among the challenges they'll face, restoring a Gypsy Moth plane which hasn't flown since it crashed 30 years ago, making a 90-foot Thames barge seaworthy again, and taking this racing car back to its glory days when it won the Spanish Grand Prix in 1969. But we start with what may just be the biggest Meccano set of all time.
Here we are on a lovely sunny day in Somerset, and this week on Salvage Squad we're looking for a relic, a monster that in its day could crush everything in its path. We're looking for a steamroller, a real steamroller actually powered by steam, and it's owned by local man Colin Hembury. All right, guys.
Ah, good morning, good
You
morning.
must be Colin. So, is this it?
This is it, yes.
This is your steamroller?
Yes, this is part of it.
I was going to say, because I can't help noticing there's a lack of steam and roller, so effectively we have a nothing. It's in bits.
All we got to do now is find the bits. The front forks are over there.
Yeah. But these are the actual rollers
This
themselves?
is the actual rolls, yeah.
Right, right.
And
I don't know why.
That's the axle.
I always imagined that it was just like one big roller. But is it always two on the front?
Yes.
It is. I suppose it's the only way you could get them to turn,
If
isn't
you
it?
had one, you'd never steer it.
No, no, it's a good point.
But this is what it should look like when we find all the pieces.
Colin's steamroller is an E-type, a 1923 Evelyn and Porter E-type. He was 22 when he bought her back in 1967. Not many young men took their driving test on a steamroller, and the local news team turned up to film it. Colin took his steamroller round the steam shows of England until 10 years ago, when major repairs on her boiler meant she had to be taken apart. The high cost of rebuilding her proved too much for him, which broke Colin's heart. So now the Salvage Squad are going to try and bring her back to life.
Now, I'm looking at this, Colin, and I'm not seeing a lot of this here, like we've established.
No.
We seem to have...
All as we've got is this bit.
Yeah.
And this bit.
Are you happy about that?
Thrilled.
Thrilled, aren't you? It's always good to start off with rummaging around. That's what I say.
At the heart of the steamroller is the steam engine. Coal burned in the firebox turns the water in the boiler into steam. The steam drives the piston and crankshaft, and the crankshaft drives the wheels. The wheels are like any other wheels, only bigger. Much bigger. All told, Colin's steamroller weighs 10 tons and consists of 2,000 pieces. Right now, most of them seem to be missing, though Colin says he knows where to find every single bit.
You're going to show us where all these other bits are, or where you think they might be anyway?
Where we left them.
Where we left them 10 years ago, though.
Yeah.
10 years is a long time.
Yes, but
It's going to be even longer the time it takes you to roll that plan up, isn't it?
I know.
No wonder you'd take 10 years over a run. Or just schedule a day in for the plan.
I'm a lorry driver, you see, and we're not used to handling paperwork this size.
No, you're not. You just want to dock it out, sign dropped off.
Exactly.
I'm on my way. I used to be a van driver. I know where you're coming from.
You
going to show us where the gear is?
Yeah, right, follow me.
Crack on.
OK.
But until Colin helps the squad track them down, they won't know just how big a job they've taken on.
That's the first part of it.
Number 44, is that ours?
Yeah, that's ours. Excellent. It's not a lot number, it's the works number when she was working for Buncombe's High Bridge.
Right, what have we got?
Brake shoes?
That's all the braking system.
Scrapers?
The brake wheel, scrapers, yeah, that's the front
Do you
scrapers.
actually need brakes on a steamroller?
Yes, to stop it. They work
They make you
wonders.
feel better.
Really satisfied
It's gonna
what's
get
there?
worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Axel, you
Right,
remember
yeah.
what's there?
Yeah.
Colin's roller was simply number 44, until this man, Harry H. Corbett, better known as Rag and Bone Man Harold Steptoe, saw her at a steam fair and suggested she wasn't just a number. She should have a name.
Most of the engines had a name, mine
Yeah.
didn't. And he come round presenting the plaques and different things like, and he's, why yours got a name? I said, I haven't thought of one yet, I've only just bought the engine the last year.
Yeah.
He said, well, why not name it after Dad's horse? I said, what's that? He said, Hercules. I said, oh, fair
So
enough.
You went from there.
And that's how it got the name.
So Steptoe's horse Hercules lives on in the shape of a 10-ton steamroller.
Where's the dirty, great big sort of rolly thing?
Back wheels.
The back wheels, that's the one.
The back wheels are out in the yard. Ah, there they are. One set of Avon back rolls.
And they have stayed pumped up all right.
They have.
They seem pretty sound.
I
Shouldn't
mean,
too
is
bad.
that should we not check them in the traditional tyre checking way by just kicking them like that?
Yes,
They seem to have stayed up, so therefore
yeah,
they're safe.
They're all right. The tread's gone down, but we shall get them re.
They're like me, look.
Colin became a steam lover when he started going to rallies in the early 60s, and he's been smitten ever since.
I'm afraid the bug bit me,
All right.
and since then it's got worse.
What, the bug's got even worse
Yes,
for you?
yes.
You just want
It-
more
one-
and more steamrollers.
Once it starts as a hobby, it ends up an incurable disease.
So you're 22 years of age and you decide to buy a steamroller
Yeah.
rather than, I don't know, a Mini, Ford Escort, Cortina.
Well, it was different, wasn't it?
It was different.
Yeah.
Did you find you could pull with a vehicle like this?
Well, not really.
What do you want this put together for?
Well, hopefully for one of the local steam rallies. That's what I'm hoping.
OK, I'll tell you what, I'll make a date with you, we'll get it put back together and we'll see you there.
What Colin calls his local steam rally is actually the Great Dorset Steam Fair, the biggest gathering of steam engines in the world. Machines of every shape and size, and everyone obsessively restored. We're just 2 days into the Salvage Squad's 10-day challenge to try to restore Hercules the steamroller in time to reunite her with her owner at the Great Dorset Steam Fair. Hercules used to be a regular until Colin took her to pieces, and for 10 years he's been dreaming of bringing her back. We've got just 10 days to give Colin the biggest surprise of his life. We're not going to let him see Hercules until we've restored her in her original livery, just as she would have looked in 1923. It's an awesome task, so we've enlisted the help of this man. Andy Melrose is Colin's friend and probably the most respected steam engineer in the country. If the squad are going to pull it off, then Axel's strength will be stretched to the limit. Jerry's attention to detail will be put under the microscope, and Claire will need to keep her cool when things get hot. Of Hercules' 2,000 bits, just one is beyond repair. Unfortunately, it's one of the biggest, the tender, where the driver stands and where the spare coal and water is stored. The tender is made from steel plates half an inch thick, which are moulded into neat curves before being riveted together with half-inch steel rivets. When Hercules was built, parts like this would be heated in huge forges, then pressed into shape using massive hydraulic presses. But Andy's workshop doesn't have a press, so the squad are going to have to fall back on techniques that date from the dawn of the Industrial Revolution. They'll have to beat the parts into shape by hand. This isn't just difficult, it's dangerous too. Fortunately, Andy's one of the few people in the country who still knows how to do it.
To move that plate anywhere, we've got to have it hot, like red hot. And we've got to have it hot in the right places. And the two torches working together will put enough heat into the plate for us to bend it.
Axel will provide the muscle, smashing metal heated to over 1,500 degrees into shape over a steel mould. Claire and Jerry will provide the heat, using powerful blow torches to keep the sheet steel glowing white hot. During the final stages, Andy helps to guide Axel's blows with a copper drift. The drift doesn't dent the steel as much as a big hammer and helps form the final curves. After 3 hours of fire and sweat, the side of the tender is complete.
I reckon that's a first-class job that you've made there. That's looking pretty good.
Yeah.
What more can we ask?
Cold beer?
Yeah.
Now, you might have got the impression that this difficult and dangerous work is not really my style, and you'd be right. So each week, while the Salvage squad take their lives in their hands, I'll be off trying to find out as much as I can about the history of the machines. Steamrollers don't have the most exciting image. They don't do much, and they do it painfully slowly. But they played their part in building the world we know today. Wherever you drive a car, in Newcastle, New York or New Delhi, an Evelyn and Porter steamroller probably helped smooth the way. Over the years, Evelyn and Porter built 6,800 steamrollers. Colin's is only one of 200 or so to survive. Most were built by contracting firms such as W.W. Buncombe, who owned Hercules. Those firms then hired them out, complete with driver, to councils and road builders, who used their massive weight to flatten the roads, which were then spreading throughout the length and breadth of Britain. We know our steamroller was ordered by W.W. Buncombe of Highbridge in Somerset, so we've come to visit a member of the Buncombe family who still lives in the area. Right, I've got the original, well, it's not the original, it's a copy of the original order book here, and I've got on here W.W. Buncombe. Now, you're Gerald
Yes.
Buncombe, so who is W.W.?
He was my grandfather. He was a mastermind, and he, I suppose, thought roads are going to be the thing of the future.
Yeah.
And if I purchase these steamrollers, I'll hire them out to different county councils throughout. Yes, yes.
How big were they? Is that the...
Well, on their letterheading, W.W. Buncombe, they say that they were the largest steamroller owners in the United Kingdom.
Was that true?
I would think so.
Yeah?
Yeah, there were other companies that I can remember.
But you reckon they had the edge, Buncombes?
Well, I've got to say that, yes. Yeah.
Stick with the family. You can't mess with a family.
No.
You were the local mafia, weren't you?
Yeah.
You don't mess with the Buncombes or we run you over very slowly. Back in sunny Shepton Mallet, the squad are taking a break. They're psyching themselves up for the most difficult task of all, hot riveting the parts of the tender together.
That was hot. That was unreal. Oh, it was like ice on there, man. I was banging. Look at my boots. They melted.
You were doing the...
Jeepers.
You were doing a bit of a flaming dance at one stage.
Yeah. I know.
Mind you, you don't think it wasn't hot on our side either?
Listen, it was hot every side you were standing at, mate. It was like ice. Honestly, I was banging and I could feel my feet slipping. I thought I was going to fall. And if you fall, your hands go down. Ouch. Do you know what I mean? But I don't really want to be doing that again.
Shaping steel with blowtorches and hammers is what health and safety officials call dangerous. Joining the metal together with white hot rivets is what they call certifiably dangerous. Rivets held the empire together, be it steam boilers in Sheffield or battleships in Singapore. Hot riveting caused more accidents than any other engineering trade. But we haven't told the squad that yet. The parts for the new tender are now complete, and the squad are temporarily bolting them together, ready for the scariest job of all, hot riveting. Hot riveting was the welding of the Victorian age. A white hot rivet is inserted into a hole drilled between two plates which are to be joined together. Then powerful pneumatic hammers work together to flatten the head. The key to hot riveting is the fact that as the rivet cools, it pulls the two plates together, so tightly that even steam cannot escape. It's a team job, and Claire will call the shots.
There you go, there's the rivet gun. There's the shot. And the snap fix on top of that.
Right.
There's nothing to hold that in.
Right.
So if you pull the trigger and you're not up against something, it'll come flowing out.
Okay, so brilliant.
Right.
There you go. That's on there.
Rivet.
Up.
Yeah.
Ready, steady, go.
Lots of noise.
Together.
Yeah, together.
I want it. Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that.
Right, let's go.
Do it.
Riveting isn't just hot, it's loud. The sound of a rivet gun is as loud as the sound of a jet plane. Timing is vital. If Jerry fires his gun too soon, the rivet will fly straight through the hole and into Axel's chest. In which case, earmuffs won't be much good.
Nice job, Axel.
That's one, Kurt.
Until 150 years ago, roads were bumpy and dangerous. Evelyn and Poulter's steamrollers changed all that. Thomas Evelyn made the first traction engine in 1859, and just 7 years later, Evelyn and Poulter unveiled the first steamroller at a demonstration in London's Hyde Park. The new machine was a roll-away success. By the 1870s, Evelyn and Poulter steamrollers had filled the potholes in 17 British cities, rolled the roads through New York City's brand new Central Park, and were helping to drive a passage up the notorious Khyber Pass. With the tender complete, the next big task is to clean and paint the other 1,999 parts which make up Colin's Evelyn and Poulter E-Type.
Scrubby, scrubby, scrubby.
Colin, meanwhile, is getting on with his day job, driving tankers around the farms of Somerset. But what he really dreams about is driving Hercules.
There's nothing quite like driving your own engine. You can drive other people's, but it's not... There's something about it that's not the same.
The squad is putting the finishing touches to the last of Hercules' 2,000 bits.
Luckily, the main part of the engine, the boiler, has proved to be pretty sound. Just had to get rid of all the surface rust that was on there and give it a new coat of paint, and she's come up really well.
The new tender has come up a treat too.
This is the same bit of metal you saw me bashing that big hammer earlier. These are all the curves that we got into it. The lovely curves here, and all round here, where we use that former. These are the rivets that we put in to hold the water in. And it's got a lovely coat of green on it. Now the tender's done, we're going to have to connect it to the back of the machine. It's a bit of a balancing act because it's so heavy and everything's like propped on these boards, but we'll get there. It should be done soon.
Now for the fun bit, putting it all together. The squad start by connecting the newly built tender to the boiler and firebox.
Up we go.
This is looking good.
Once the tender is lined up to the holes in the firebox,
Yeah, that's it.
it's simply a matter of sliding in the bolts and tightening them up.
You're a bit vulnerable there, mate, with the 2-inch Whitworth in her hand.
20 bolts later, and there's always one awkward one.
I'm not too happy about going underneath here with 4 ton, balancing on wood.
He's all right.
We'll be all right.
Sound as a pound.
OK, mate. I believe you.
He's blocked up well. I hope. Go in a treat. Everyone a winner. So we could say, in Somerset, the job's a good one.
Yes!
She's going to look really rather good when she's finished. And now you can actually see she's almost becoming a vehicle. There's somewhere for you to stand when you're stoking. There's something for you to put your coal that you're going to throw in the fire. And this is where the water goes, in the back, so you can put it into the boiler to turn it into steam. So it's all starting to come together. It's going to be all right.
Time to fit the rear rollers. If you've ever stood on the hard shoulder trying to change the rear wheel on a car, you'll know how cumbersome they can be.
Just keep an eye on me, Jerry, just in case it starts going downhill.
But try changing a wheel that weighs as much as a car.
Now the trick is, right, Claire, take that side, lift. Okay, more. About 3 or 4 clicks. Up. Stop.
It's nearly there, so...
Take a tiny amount.
A bit more.
You ain't stuck.
Go on, lads. That's it. This goes.
Yes!
2 hours of grunting and the rear rollers are on. Until the steamroller came along, flattening the roads was hard manual labour. This new technology cut the cost by 3/4. But the steamroller really came into its own with the invention of another wonder on wheels, the bicycle. Bicycles don't much like potholes, and soon hordes of top-hatted and frock-coated cyclists were lobbying local councils for better roads. Thousands of miles of new asphalt roads were laid, and before long, Buncombe's were employing more than 150 drivers all over the country. But a maximum speed of 8 miles per hour meant popping home for lunch wasn't really on. As a result, rolling roads became more than just a job, it became a way of life.
The interesting part with this photograph is that the driver had a living van and a water cart.
But what's the living cart?
The living van here is the husband with the wife and the child.
Yeah.
And they lived in the living van.
So the driver would tow more as like a caravan kind of thing behind?
Yes.
And they'd live
as a family.
As a family on the road?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yes.
Wherever I lay my tarmac, that's my home. Britain's road builders lived a gypsy life, travelling in caravans towed by 10-ton steamrollers from Cornwall to Caithness. It couldn't have been very luxurious, all living in one van like that. Still, the family that rolls together stays together.
Wouldn't know if there's any of the original drivers knocking about.
Well, yes. Bill Harvey, he drove for Buncombe's for a number of years.
Have you got his address, yeah?
Yes, you'll go and see him. Yeah, he'd like that.
Excellent.
Yes.
Oops.
The squad are bolting onto the front of the boiler, the giant casting, shaped like a nose, which holds the front rollers in place. It's known as the headstock.
I thought you said that one was tight.
I know this man, I'm not going to check him again. Acts as living proof that the British steam engineer is alive and well.
With the headstock in place, they can now fit the front rollers. First up, the half-ton forks have to be pushed into the headstock.
Right. Oh, lovely.
That's it.
The forks poke through the headstock and are held in place by a crane, while the squad roll the 2 one-ton rollers into place.
Right, whoa. Got it.
Gee willikers, kid.
Next, they have to slide in the huge metal bar that forms the axle.
Are you going to put that in there or
Feeling
what?
strong.
I think that's near enough, don't you?
Wheels are on, guys.
Hercules is beginning to look like she did when men like Harvey were rolling Britain's road in the years. Bill is the last man still alive who drove for the Buncombe's in the days of steam. He retired in 1984 after 50 years with the company.
I started with my father. Father was driving for him.
Oh, right.
And we started up in Derbyshire, and we were moving rollers about up there. I lived in a van.
In a van?
Yeah, in one of the living vans.
Is this thing that you tow behind?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people had their wives and families in the caravans, you know, in the living vans. Well, they was all right. You had a stove in there, and the bunks, and the cupboards. And they used to supply with frying pan, teapot, kettle, buckets, and all the utensils, see?
Did you ever work on our one, number 44?
No, I went up to Suffolk Wire and put new back wheels on her once. But I never used her.
This horse here, up here, Bill, that looks like the one we've got on our roller.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's the Evelyn badge. It's the Kent coat of arms.
So where'd you get that one from?
It's a present from the boss.
Lovely.
Yeah, from Norman. Norman Buncombe gave me that.
It's day 6, and from the outside, Hercules looks a lot like a steamroller. But if she's going to do any rolling, she'll need an engine. So how does a lump of coal end up turning the wheels of a 10-ton monster like this? The firebox heats the steam in the boiler, creating pressure. The pressure expands in the cylinder, which sits on top of the boiler, pushing the piston in and out. The crank attached to the piston turns the in-out movement of the piston into the circular motion of the flywheel, and the flywheel drives the wheels of the steamroller. Now all the squad have to do is to make it work. The cylinder is already bolted onto the top of the boiler. The crank and flywheel assembly itself weighs a ton. It has to be winched into position so Jerry can fit the connecting rods, which will bring Hercules to life. All of Hercules' 2,000 parts were finished by hand.
That's it.
And will only fit together one way.
The time this was built, when you were a fitter, it was a job to be really proud of. It was a proper profession. You've got to have the right bolt and the right hole and the right nuts on even. And they're all marked up with letters. And this one I'm doing is letter B. So I've got a nice little B on my nut. Because this wants to run that smoothly. Even when that's pulled tight, it should run like that.
It's taken Jerry 2 whole days of painstaking work to rebuild Hercules' engine. But now he's done, she's coming back to life.
What a lovely noise. It's breathing, it's alive. Oh, it's wonderful.
With just 3 days left, the squad faced their toughest challenge yet. Restoring Hercules' clapped-out steering system.
Jeez.
Hercules is steered by an ingenious system of mechanical reins. A chain runs from one side of the front rollers round the spiral drum, called the steering scroll, and down the other side. As the steering wheel turns the scroll, it pulls one side of the chain tight and loosens the other, pulling the roller right or left, just like the reins on a horse. But the problem the squad have is that years of use have meant the steering scroll has gradually worn away at one of the brackets that holds it in place. The hole is too big and the end of the scroll no longer fits tightly inside. Jerry has to machine the bracket so that the hole is once again a perfect fit for the end of the steering scroll. He has to start by making the hole inside the bracket even bigger, removing 80 years of wear and tear. Then he has to make a new, perfectly circular piece of metal to fit snugly inside the bigger hole. Finally, he'll drill a hole in the new piece of metal exactly the right size to take the steering scroll. It's a precision engineering job with no margin for error. The new piece of metal has to be turned on the lathe to exactly 2.5 inches.
It must be perfect. If we're undersized and we put it in, it'll flop through and we've got a 10-ton run out of control. If it's oversized by so much as 1/1000th of an inch, this will burst in half and we're shot. It's finished, it's gone.
After an hour of cutting, the only way to find out if it will fit is to check it with a micrometer, which can measure accurately to a single thousandth of an inch.
Bang on!
Finally, Jerry attaches a huge drill bit to the lathe and drills a hole in the new piece of metal.
Did you hear what I hear? It's gone quiet.
Oh, yeah.
The machine shop has stopped.
That means Jay.
It means one of two
Isn't it
things. Total chaos, or he'll be here any minute.
Yo, Joe. How's your job coming along? Still boring?
Done.
Jerry has to push his newly fashioned collar into the old bracket using a powerful press.
Andy, can you come and give me some leverage, please?
What's that, Jerry? What's that magic potion you're squirting?
It's It's a bearing fit compound. Any irregularities that there might be in there, and there's always a chance, it'll take them up. It's glue, really.
This is the moment of truth. If the collar is too loose, it will drop out and all of Jerry's work will have gone to waste. Too tight, the bracket will crack and the squad's trip to Dorset will be off.
Oh,
I like the feel of this.
Yeah, so do I.
Good, Jerry.
That's nice. I can feel my heart going pit-a-pat.
Jerry, this is looking very promising, mate.
How many tons do you reckon you're putting on that?
Probably 2-3 tons, something like that.
Good machine.
Very effective.
Perfect.
I feel pretty darn chuffed with that.
The squad can now reassemble the steering system. The last time Jerry's bracket was fitted was when Hercules was built in 1923. In the same year, Evelyn and Porter produced this, the A&P oil roller, their forerunner of the modern diesel. The writing was on the wall for steam. Sadly, it was also the beginning of the end for Evelyn and Porter. The Great Depression, an ambitious expansion scheme and a scandal over the rents of its lavish London offices impoverished the company, and in March 1932 the bank called in loans of £400,000. The firm of Evelyn and Porter, which once employed over 1,000 men and quite literally paved the world, was no more. Diesel gradually took over, but the men who ran Buncombs never lost their love of steam. They did all they could to save their beloved rollers from the scrap heap. They even went as far as advertising them to the public.
If you get stuck for ideas for birthday presents or a present for Christmas, then you might well give a second thought to something unusual which you can buy here at Highbridge in Somerset. What do they do with them when they've bought them?
Well, they enter them in the rallies, and they more or less get together during the summer months, and they thoroughly enjoy having these old puffin billies, as they used to call them, going up and down on parade.
One young man who fancied his own roller was 22-year-old steam lover Colin Hembury.
Being an idiot, I decided to buy one. So I went along, introduced myself to Norman Buncombe, and I said, I understand you've got some rollers for sale. Hi, he said, another young bloke with no money. He said, when I tell you the price of them, he said, I usually frighten people. I said, well, give us the shot then. He said, I want $350. I said, all right then. So he said, come down the weekend with the deposit and it's yours.
To Colin, £350 was almost half his annual wage. He emptied his post office account and borrowed the rest from the bank. Just 2 days left, and there's still a ton of tasks to do if we're to make our appointment with Colin at the steam fair.
Thank you very much. Good boy. No, I want that bit.
This is called cladding. It insulates the boiler and also prevents anyone scalding themselves on the hot metal by mistake. Once the entire boiler is clad, it's covered with thin sheet metal panels held in place by brass bands. All that's left now is to resurrect the funnel, and the squad have one fully assembled 1923 Evelyn and Porter E-type roller in need of some fancy paintwork. They will faithfully copy the original Evelyn and Porter livery of British standard olive green, with fine stripes of red, black and yellow. Hercules was built at a time when there was still a magic about machines. In 1923, teams of coach painters worked to ensure that each steamroller was an individual work of art. Malcolm Kite is one of the few who still has these skills, and now he's going to pass them on to Claire.
It's up to you now which one you fancy.
Go for that one.
If you like, yeah. The easiest way to that one is to start up in there and work your way out, yeah.
So you're an apprentice
Yes.
to learn this?
5 years.
5 years?
5 years.
So would a chap like yourself been employed by Evelyn and Porter?
I should imagine there'd be quite a few employed by them, really. Because most of the painting on them anyway was painted by hand.
I mean, there's real pride involved if you have a roller and you paint it up and you go to the trouble to put, you know, these tiny, tiny lines on it.
Yeah, it is a dying art.
This is looking pretty good, Claire.
Not bad. Look,
like that.
I only had the 3 pints at lunchtime.
I like that top one. That was before you had the 3 pints, was it?
That's 20 years worth of experience.
And that's 20 minutes. Well, I reckon that's a fair start. What do you reckon, Malcolm?
I think she's doing very well.
All I can say is the best of luck to you. I think I should stick to a sledgehammer.
What do you think of our
The following morning, it's not just Hercules who's shining, Andy's had a makeover too.
Pretty good, isn't it?
You've prettied yourself up, haven't you?
Yes!
You had a haircut.
It's a haircut! Spruced up and ready to go.
Hey. Who is she?
I'm
New suit.
This is it. And I'm all ready to go.
Come on, chaps, let's set fire to her.
There you go.
Thank you. All right.
First time in 10 years.
This is the first time in 10 years there's been fire in the box. In 2 hours' time, steam will be up. In 10 days, the squad have managed to turn a few hundred rusting parts back into a working steamroller. They flanged steel plates at 1,000 degrees, punched white-hot rivets to remake the tender, assembled 3 tons of front rollers, and painted and polished 2,000 pieces of metal. But if they're not put together properly, steam engines can kill. So Government Inspector Glenn Bullen has to give Hercules a safety test. I've come back for the verdict.
This is the team.
Hello. Good morning.
Hello, Claire and Jerry, who have done all the work on the roller. This is Glenn, our
Hi, Glenn. I'm Lee. You ignored me there.
I'm sorry about that, Lee, but that was because you haven't done any work, you see.
How long is this test going to take to do?
Probably about 10 minutes. About 10 minutes.
Really?
Yes. The most critical 10 minutes of the entire project. That's right.
Glenn has to be satisfied that every joint in the pipework and every rivet in the boiler is absolutely safe. Just one whiff of steam in the wrong place would mean no certificate and no trip to Dorset.
It looks as though something's bubbling there.
Yeah. Yeah, that, the joint is new.
New joint, is it?
Yeah, and the compound that seals it. Yeah. Don't think it's steam because there's no sign of steam and no water. So
the pressure inside the boiler mustn't be allowed to climb too high, or it could explode. That's why all steam boilers, from steamrollers to pressure cookers, are fitted with a safety valve. Once the pressure reaches the red line on the gauge, 150 pounds per square inch, the safety valve should open, reducing the pressure. The boiler is safe up to 165 pounds per square inch. Higher than that, and it means the valve isn't working properly, and the squad won't get their certificate.
That's the safety valves blowing off up there. We've got the boiler right up to pressure, and we're trying to get rid of all the excess steam. So the boiler inspector will want to make sure that that pressure gauge is not lifting above 150, and if it is, we're allowed about 10%.
It does seem to be creeping up a little bit.
There's a problem. The valve is working, but steam is not escaping fast enough to stop the pressure rising. Another £6 on the gauge, and all their hard work will have been for nothing. It's taken the squad 10 days of hard graft to restore Hercules the steamroller, and now she may not go to the fair after all.
What are we going to do if he fouls it then?
Go on. Cool it down, go on. That's it.
It's too close for comfort. The needle is creeping towards 165 pounds per square inch. Higher than that, the safety valve isn't releasing enough steam and she'll fail. It's all very tense. After a nerve-wracking 5 minutes, Glenn delivers his verdict.
This is fine, this is okay. It's right on the maximum. Right. So it's okay.
Right. Is that a thumbs up then?
That's a thumbs up.
Are we going?
That's it.
We're going.
Does that mean I can put this away now?
That's that word of pass then.
We've got a pass.
That's it.
Oh.
You've got a pass.
Cheers, mate.
You're welcome.
You've got a pass.
Thank you very much.
But there's still the question of who gets to drive.
Is this strictly fair? Axel, is this strictly fair?
I'm thinking about it. Hold on a second.
What?
You turned up last day looking sweet. Show me your hands. And they ain't dirty. So how can you... Look, now that should be driving.
I could have done that.
Come here.
I could have done that.
Kick him off, man.
Do you want
Go
him
and drive the steam. Yeah, you drive the steam engine. That's it.
No.
Yes, come on.
No, I've just... Andy, I'm with you,
Andy?
mate.
Oh,
he said
I have to remain neutral in all this. I tell you what, I'll take the dog instead.
No, wait. Yeah, we'll take a vote on it. Hands in favour, Lee drives. Hands in favour, Claire drives. I think majority rules.
Oh, that's good, isn't it? That's good. That is... I tell you what.
You've been ousted.
As Andy opens her up, it's the first time steam has entered her pistons in over 10 years. But will she roll?
Okay, then.
Hey.
Stop raining again.
We're going to steam fair.
Wow, what a bark.
It's only 40 miles to the steam fair, but at the speed Hercules goes, that will take until the day after tomorrow. So she makes the journey with the help of something a bit more up to date. The Dorset Steam Fair has been going for the last 33 years. Organ, traction engine, locomotive, if it runs on steam, you'll find it here, helping to burn the 150 tonnes of coal they get through at each fair. This is Hercules' first trip to the fair for more than 10 years. During that time, Colin's been forced to be a mere spectator. Until now, that is.
Well, Salvage squad have done it. Hercules is back in one piece. Now, Colin, if you remember the last time we saw this, it was a pile of bits in a shed in the middle of nowhere. He hasn't seen it working for over 10 years. He's in the tent over there, and I'm going to go and get him now, and hopefully it'll be a lovely surprise for him.
What's more, we've told Colin that Hercules isn't working, so he's in for a shock.
What have you done to it? Lovely. You know, good job.
All right, mate.
Yeah. You know, so I see him looking like that.
What do you reckon, mate?
We're sorry to do that to you, but...
Well, I've been fed some fish this morning too.
Rotten pickups.
Well done, mate.
Well done, mate.
Hey.
Come here, you're going to be Well, thanks very much. Can I have a walk round?
Sorry about that, mate.
You will be.
Oh, look, the fair's going and all. Oh, come on, mate.
It's all right, so am I.
Oh, no. Yeah, but you're a granny, we know that.
This is the moment Colin thought would never come. The moment he'd step aboard his beloved steamroller again.
Can I get up there?
You could get
It's your engine.
Do you want a hand? Yeah, go on, mate. Up you go.
I can't get over all this.
Has it all gone back in the right order?
Well, seems to.
Come on.
Yeah, mate.
How's about that?
Lovely.
Ah, yes.
So, Colin, what do you think, mate? They've done a good job.
You know, great. They've done a marvellous job.
Are you pleased?
Can't get over it.
Did I see a little bit of fluid welling up there?
You did. Am I got a rights to?
Yes, you've got a rights to.
That's right, mate.
You set Claire and Jerry off as well. Look, even Hercules is shedding a tear. Look at that.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You're looking forward to having a go on it?
Yeah. I want to dress for the part first.
As Colin puts Hercules through her paces, me and the squad go back 80 years, crushing and raking the rocks, ready for Colin and Hercules to roll the road flat, just as a Bunkum's crew would have done in the early 1920s. So the next time you're living life in a fast lane, spare a thought for Hercules and the men and women who paved the way all those years ago.
Oh my God.